Welcome back to the Gold IRA Blueprint podcast. Today, we're going to be doing a deep dive into gold and
hmm
specifically how it can maybe help protect retirement savings. We'll be kind of taking a look at how gold has shaped economies throughout history
hmm
and the rise and fall of the gold standard and what it all means for us today in this crazy financial world we live in.
Yeah. It's a journey through time, really. We're going to start way back with ancient civilizations and bring it all the way to modern finance and unpack why gold is so valuable and how it could play a role in your golden years.
Absolutely. And speaking of golden years, if you're looking to safeguard your retirement with gold, we put together a free checklist at goldirablueprint.com/exclusive. It's specifically for American retirees. It can really help make sense of this confusing world of gold IRAs.
It's a great tool to have as we kind of go through the history of gold as an investment.
For sure. So to get started, let's talk about what makes gold so special. It's not just about the shininess of it. It's got some interesting properties that have made it so valuable throughout history.
Yeah, you're right. It's more than meets the eye. Gold is really durable, it doesn't rust or corrode, and it's pretty rare. All these things have made it valuable for thousands of years.
We're talking way back, right? Even ancient civilizations were interested in gold.
Exactly like the Greeks and Romans, they used gold and silver to trade way before paper money. They understood that these metals had value. They even minted coins from gold and silver, which was basically the earliest form of money as we know it.
Wow, it's fascinating. So they were already using gold as currency. How did we get from that to the gold standard we hear so much about?
Well, economies became more complex, and trade was happening across borders, and there was this need for a system that everyone could use. So the gold standard really started to take off in the 1800s, and Great Britain officially adopted it in 1821.
And other countries saw what they were doing and decided to do it too, right?
Yeah, a lot of countries thought they could create more stability in trade by linking their currencies to gold. The United States joined in 1900 with the Gold Standard Act, and then every US dollar was backed by a specific amount of gold.
So you could basically trade your dollar in for gold.
That was the idea. The government could only print as much money as they had gold. And that was supposed to prevent inflation and keep things stable.
It sounds pretty straightforward. What made it fail? Seems like a good idea.
Well, it worked okay when the economy was good. But when there was a crisis like the Great Depression, it showed that the system wasn't perfect. Countries need to be able to change how much money is in circulation during tough times, and the gold standard didn't allow for that.
So it's like trying to put out a fire with a bucket of water when you really need a fire hose.
Exactly. You need to be able to react to the situation. So in 1933, President Roosevelt took the U.S. off the gold standard. He needed to boost the economy during the Depression.
But that was the end of the gold standard.
Not quite. They tried to bring back a version of it after World War II with something called the Bretton Woods Agreement.
Oh, yeah, I've heard of that. Can you remind us what that was all about?
Sure. With Bretton Woods, they tied the US dollar to gold, and then they tied all the other major currencies to the US dollar. This created fixed exchange rates, which was supposed to help stabilize global trade and prevent another financial meltdown like the one that happened during the Depression.
So it was like gold standard 2.0.
Pretty much. But it had trouble keeping up with how fast the world economy was growing. So in 1971, President Nixon unlinked the dollar from gold.
So if we're not on the gold standard now, what kind of money do we use today?
We use something called fiat money. It's not backed by anything physical like gold. It's based on the government say-so, and basically everyone trusting that the system works.
Wow. It's crazy to think that the whole system is built on trust. So if we aren't using gold to back our money anymore, what role does it play today? It must still be important, right?
Absolutely, gold is still valuable. Investors see it as a way to protect themselves against inflation and economic uncertainty. It's like a safety net when things are unpredictable.
And that's where gold IRAs come in. It's a way to include gold in your retirement plan. But before we get into that, let me remind everyone, especially those thinking about retirement, we have that free checklist I mentioned before at goldirablueprint.com/exclusive. It can help you figure out which gold IRA company is right for you. It's full of good questions to ask and things to consider when you're planning for your retirement.
Yeah, knowledge is power, especially when it comes to your finances. That checklist can help you make good decisions.
For sure. Okay, so let's talk about those gold IRAs. What exactly are they, and how do they fit into this whole gold and retirement thing?
So a gold IRA is a self-directed individual retirement account. It lets you hold actual gold bars or coins as part of your retirement savings. It's a bit different from a traditional IRA, where you usually invest in stocks and bonds. With a gold IRA, you're investing in real gold.
So it's like diversifying your retirement portfolio with something that's always been valuable. But why would you choose a gold IRA over just buying gold yourself?
That's a good question. The main advantage is the tax benefits. With a gold IRA, your investment grows tax deferred, which means you don't pay taxes on any gains until you take the money out during retirement.
So you're basically protecting your gold investments from taxes, and your savings can grow faster.
Exactly. Your investments grow without being taxed every year, and that could mean you end up with more money when you retire.
That makes sense. Tax benefits are always a good thing when you're planning for retirement. But I'm guessing there are rules about gold IRAs to make sure everything is done properly.
You are definitely right. The IRS has rules for gold IRAs to make sure they keep their tax advantages. For example, the gold in your IRA has to be a certain level of purity, and you can't just keep it anywhere. It has to be stored in a special place called an approved depository.
So you can't just put some gold coins under your mattress.
Nope, it's more complicated than that. You need to work with a custodian, a trustee, and an approved depository to handle everything and make sure you're following all the IRS rules.
Sounds like there's a lot involved. Having some expert help would be really useful.
I agree. Figuring out all the details of gold IRAs can be overwhelming, especially if you're new to this kind of investment. That's actually a big reason why Gold IRA Blueprint exists, to give you clear guidance and support through the whole process.
That's great to hear. So we know that gold IRAs let you hold real gold in a retirement account, and you get tax advantages. But can you tell us more about the types of gold you can invest in? Is it just gold bars?
No, you have some options. Gold bars are a common choice, but you can also invest in gold coins. There are a lot of different gold coins that can be part of a gold IRA.
Are there certain coins that are more popular than others?
Yes, definitely. Some of the favorites are American Gold Eagles, Canadian Gold Maple Leafs, and South African Krugerrands. These coins are well known all over the world because they are very pure and they hold their value.
It's really cool to think about owning a little piece of history in your retirement account. Are there any downsides to investing in a gold IRA? Every investment has some risks, right?
You're right. Like any investment, there are some things to think about. One thing is that the price of gold can go up and down like anything else. Gold has generally held its value pretty well over time, but there's no guarantee that will always be the case.
So it's important to be in it for the long haul
Mm.
and know that there will be good times and bad times. It's not a way to get rich quickly.
Exactly. It's about having a mix of different investments that fit your risk tolerance and your overall financial goals. Another thing to consider is that you have to store physical gold securely, and that costs money.
You mentioned approved depositories earlier. Can you tell us a bit more about how those work and how the storage process goes?
Sure, approved depositories are like special vaults for precious metals. They are very secure and have insurance to protect your gold. When you invest in a gold IRA, your custodian will handle shipping your gold to one of these depositories for safekeeping.
So you don't actually have to keep the gold yourself. It's stored in a professional facility.
Right, you'll get paperwork that proves you own the gold, but the actual gold will be stored safely at the depository.
This is really interesting. But I bet some people are hesitant to invest their retirement savings in gold. It's different from the usual stocks and bonds. What would you say to someone who's not sure about gold IRAs?
I understand why people might be hesitant. It's normal to be careful with your retirement money, but gold has been a part of the financial system for a long time. It's a real asset with real value, and it has a history of holding its value, especially when the economy is uncertain.
So it's not just something from the past, it's still relevant today.
Exactly. Gold has done well even when other investments like stocks haven't, so it can protect you against inflation and help you avoid losing money when the market is down. Of course, there are risks like with anything, but gold's history and its special qualities make it a good option for people who want to spread their retirement investments around.
That makes sense. Gold IRAs offer a way to hold real gold in a retirement account, and you get tax advantages. But can you tell us more about the types of gold you can invest in? Is it just gold bars?
Not at all. You have options. While gold bars, also known as bullion, are a common choice, you can also invest in gold coins. There are a variety of gold coins that are eligible for inclusion in a gold IRA.
Are there specific types of coins that are more popular than others?
Absolutely. Some of the most popular choices include American Gold Eagles, Canadian Gold Maple Leafs, and South African Krugerrands. These coins are recognized worldwide for their purity and value.
It's fascinating to think about holding a piece of history in your retirement portfolio.
Mm-hmm.
Are there any disadvantages to investing in a gold IRA that we should be aware of? I mean, no investment is perfect, right?
That's a really important point. Like any investment, there are potential downsides to consider. One thing to keep in mind is that the price of gold can fluctuate just like any other asset. While gold has historically held its value, well, there are no guarantees when it comes to market performance.
So you're saying it's important to have a long-term perspective and understand that there will be ups and downs along the way. It's not a get-rich-quick scheme.
Exactly. It's about diversification and having a balanced portfolio that aligns with your risk tolerance and overall financial goals. Another thing to consider is that physical gold needs to be stored securely, which comes with associated costs.
You mentioned approved depositories earlier. Can you tell us a bit more about those and how the storage process works?
Of course, approved depositories are specialized facilities designed to store precious metals for investors. They provide a high level of security and insurance to protect your assets. When you invest in a gold IRA, you'll work with a custodian who will arrange for your gold to be shipped and stored at one of these depositories.
So you don't actually have to keep the gold in your possession. It's kept safe and sound in a professional facility.
That's right. You'll receive documentation verifying your ownership and the specific details of your gold holdings. But the physical gold itself will be held securely at the depository.
This all sounds very interesting, but I can imagine some people might be hesitant to put their retirement savings into something like gold. It's different from the traditional stocks and bonds route. What would you say to someone who's on the fence about investing in a gold IRA?
I understand the hesitation. It's natural to be cautious when it comes to your retirement savings. I would say that gold has played a unique role in the financial system for centuries. It's a tangible asset with inherent value that has a long history of holding its value, particularly during times of economic uncertainty.
So it's not just a relic of the past. It still holds relevance in the modern financial world.
Exactly. Gold has a track record of performing well when other assets like stocks might be struggling. This makes it a potential hedge against inflation and a way to potentially mitigate losses during market downturns. Of course, like any investment, there are risks involved, but gold's historical performance and its unique characteristics make it a compelling option for those seeking to diversify their retirement portfolio.
So it sounds like gold IRAs can add some stability to your retirement savings, especially when the economy is a bit shaky. But let's go back to the gold standard for a minute. We talked about how it became popular and then why it was abandoned. But could bringing back the gold standard help with the inflation we're seeing today?
That's the million-dollar question a lot of economists and politicians have been debating for years. There's no simple answer because going back to the gold standard could have both good and bad effects.
Let's break that down a little.
Hmm?
What are some of the reasons people think going back to a gold standard would be a good thing?
Well, people who like the gold standard often say that it helped keep prices stable in the past. They say that when the amount of money a country can print is tied to how much gold they have, it stops the government from printing too much money, and that should help keep inflation in check. They think it could make people trust the financial system again and prevent prices from going way out of control.
So it's seen as a way to force governments to be responsible with their spending and keep their currency from losing value. What about the arguments against going back to the gold standard?
People who don't like the gold standard say that it's too inflexible and could actually slow down economic growth. They point out that it would limit what the government can do to fix problems during a recession. For instance, if there's a recession, the government might want to increase spending or lower interest rates to try to help the economy recover, but a gold standard could prevent them from doing that.
So it could be a situation where the solution makes the problem worse?
Exactly. Another worry is that there's only so much gold in the world, and it might not be enough to keep up with a growing global economy, which could actually lead to prices going down instead of up. Plus, the price of gold itself can change. So even if a currency is backed by gold, it doesn't mean prices will stay perfectly stable.
It seems like there are good points on both sides. And it's a complicated issue with no easy answers. We've gotten a little off track from gold IRAs, though. Let's bring it back to our listeners who are thinking about this kind of investment. What advice would you give to someone who's considering opening a gold IRA?
The most important thing is to do your homework and really understand how gold IRAs work before you do anything. Make sure you are okay with the potential risks and the possible benefits.
It's not something you want to rush into.
Definitely not. You need to think about the long term and decide how a gold IRA fits into your overall retirement plan. If you decide that a gold IRA makes sense for you, the next step is to find a reputable gold IRA company to work with. This is really important.
Finding the right company can make a big difference. What should people look for when they're choosing a company?
You want a company that has a good track record fees that are clear and easy to understand and a reputation for taking good care of their customers. You need someone you can trust to help you through the process and look out for your best interests.
Feeling confident and secure in your choice of provider is essential. And speaking of feeling confident, let's remind our listeners about that free resource we mentioned at Gold IRA, blueprint.com/exclusive. We've created a checklist specifically designed for American retirees to help you evaluate Gold IRA companies and pick the one that best meets your needs. It's like having a trusted advisor right there with you.
That checklist can really help you make sure you're asking the right questions. It covers everything from fees and storage options to the company's history and what their customers have to say about them.
So we've learned a lot today about the history of gold and the gold standard and the ins and outs of Gold IRAs and how to choose the right company. What's the main takeaway you want our listeners to remember?
I think the biggest takeaway is that gold, even though it's been around for thousands of years, is still a valuable asset in today's world. It's worth considering because it has a long history, it tends to hold its value when things are uncertain, and it can be a good way to add variety to your retirement portfolio.
It's all about understanding the story of gold, thinking about the potential upsides and downsides, and making smart choices that fit your retirement goals. And for those of you who are interested in adding gold to your retirement plan, don't forget to check out the resources at goldirablueprint.com/exclusive, including that free checklist to help you pick the right Gold IRA company.
It's been great exploring the world of gold with you today. We hope this deep dive has given you some valuable insights as you plan for a secure and enjoyable retirement.
Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time for another deep dive.